Hello and welcome to my 6-part mini-series where I'm going to be showing you the exact process as an over 30 on how you can finally achieve and sustain your dream body and healthy lifestyle. This is going to help you to finally ditch the weight loss yo-yo cycle that you find yourself trapped in and just start showing up as the best version of yourself so you can improve across all facets of life, enjoying more success, more confidence, more fulfillment, and just less worry. Now, in this 6-part mini-series, I'm going to be covering 3 main topics that, for me, most over 30s miss out on. You know, when we think about losing weight, getting into great shape, and finally getting to a place where we're happy within ourselves, so many over 30s just miss the mark. They're focusing purely on a training program, doing cardio, getting your steps in. It's all surface level rubbish. It's what most PTs and coaches tell you. But there are fundamental things that if we can work on and do, we can finally get to where you want to be. You can be in the best shape of your life and actually learn how to sustain it. This is what real coaching is. This is what I do inside the Lean and Fulfilled Lifestyle, and I've been helping over 30s do for the last 7+ years. So the 3 main things that we're going to be working on, and in the first 2 episodes, we're going to be looking at your mindset because that is the overriding thing that underpins, everything. So first of all, mindset, then we'll be looking at habits and why they are the foundations that your successful result is built upon. And then we'll be looking at nutrition and how we can actually see nutrition from a completely different perspective. We don't have to be ruled by, governed by certain foods and feeling guilty for enjoying ourselves. We can actually find this healthy balance and realize that we can fuel health, performance, and weight loss whilst living an incredible life. And it's all about making better decisions and things that make it realistic. So it's actually built into your life. That's a big thing with my coaching ethos, and what I do and help over 30s do is actually, if we want to achieve a result that stands the test of time, we need to do this properly. So we need to change your mindset. We need to build better habits. We need to make this part of who you are so you can integrate it into your life whilst, having a family, having a job, and all the life responsibilities that you have to uphold every day. So it just becomes automatic. It feels achievable. It feels like it aligns with your values. There's no point doing things for the sake of it to achieve a result short term if it's not going to be able to continue long term, because it just won't stand the test of time. And when life is busy, you get stressed as usual, it'll just fall by the wayside. So hopefully that gives you a good idea of what you can expect to get from this 6-part mini series. And the first training, which is this video right here, is going to be all on evolving your mindset. And I'm going to specifically talk about your identity. And it's one of the main things that we need to do at the start of your journey to looking better, feeling better, living better, losing weight, sustaining it. The one thing that you need to do first, before absolutely anything, is change your mindset, is understand what your identity is and how we can evolve it. So I'm going to delve into your identity and why it is the first thing that we have to do, why we have to evolve your identity for you to become the person that you've always wanted to be. Now, you'll see a diagram pop up on the screen somewhere, relatively new to YouTube at this point, so editing's not great, but there should be a diagram somewhere that's going to give me reference when I kind of go through what your identity is and how we can link it into your health and fitness journey, and why failing to evolve your identity is blocking you, and why you've been stuck in that yo-yo cycle for years. So your identity is the person that you believe yourself to be, okay? The person that you believe yourself to be through all of your experiences, through your failures, your history, through everything that you've been through in life, okay? It creates this identity, the person that you believe yourself to be. Now, what this does is it creates a set of narratives in your head, okay? Now, it's these narratives in our head that influences our beliefs. And it's our beliefs that influences our behavior and actions. And it's our behavior and actions that create our outcomes, okay? Think of your outcome as like the dream result, where you want to be. Your outcome right now is where you're at, okay? So maybe it's overweight, maybe it's out of shape, maybe it's inconsistent with health and fitness, just in a bad place and really wanting to change, all right? That's the outcome. So why is this so important? Well, if we kind of break it down, and now I want to show you another diagram that actually highlights, someone that is an over 30 that is just been stuck in this yo-yo cycle for years and has never been able to get to that place where they feel comfortable in their own skin. Never been at that place where health and fitness is just a consistent part of who they are. It's always on the bandwagon, off the bandwagon. So let's break it down. Your identity is the person that you believe yourself to be, and that creates a set of narratives. The narratives in your head might be, I've always been big. I'm never going to be like one of them athletic girls. I'm big boned. I've got a slow metabolism. I like food too much. These are the narratives that you can tell yourself because of the identity, the person that you believe yourself to be, which if you've tried and failed for years, the evidence that you've created for yourself suggests that that is the case. I've never been in great shape. I've never been consistent. I always end up like binging and giving up on my diet. So it creates the narrative that you tell yourself that I like food too much. I couldn't possibly be skinny like that, whatever it may be. So, but it's them narratives that then influence your beliefs. So your beliefs around yourself and ability is you don't believe in yourself. You think that you like food too much. You think that you were born a different way. You think that, the place that you dream of getting is something that is just given. It's not something that can be cultivated through learning, through application, and through doing the right things. So the beliefs then influence your actions and behaviors, which is, 50% effort. Self-sabotage is something that happens, which we'll talk about in the next step. But essentially then your actions are going to be, 50% effort in, you'll go all or nothing. So you're either all in 100% going for it or nothing at all. Short bursts of hard work when you feel motivated, but then when you're not feeling motivated, you do nothing. So that's kind of the behaviors and actions that then follow, but also a negative relationship with yourself and the way that you kind of, demonize foods, demonize yourself when you make mistakes or something doesn't go to plan. And what that does is it creates your outcome, which is inconsistent, self-sabotage, being unhappy in your body, health and fitness, a joke to you. It's just like something that you're in, you're out, you're in, you're out. And it's just this stuck in this weight loss yo-yo cycle. So can you now see by going through that diagram that forget about a training plan, forget about hitting 10K steps. Right now, forget about, eating a certain way. We have to start changing this identity, because if we don't, we're only going to get so far. You might be able to work hard for 4 weeks, go extreme, lose a little bit of weight, feel better. But what does that even mean? It's not even going to stand the test of time. You're not cultivating the mindset that's going to allow you to embody this, for the rest of your life. It's the reason why there's a crazy statistic that most lottery winners, after like a year or two, they go bankrupt. How can someone that's suddenly given millions of pounds, even billions, be bankrupt within a couple of years? Well, it's because they don't have the identity of someone that knows how to handle money. You're giving £1 billion to like an average Joe on the street that earns, £30,000 a year. So they don't understand, they don't have the identity of someone that knows how to manage money, how to invest it properly, how to, get money to make money, by investing it, how to, save it, look after it. Like, they don't have the identity of someone that knows how to handle money. So ultimately, it gets spent and that's it. It's the same with weight loss. It's why fad diets don't work. Okay. It's why when you do fad diets and you go all in for like 4 weeks, you're not actually building the right skill set and going through the process that's needed to actually achieve and sustain your result. You're not building the right skills. You're not building the right habits. You're not cultivating the right mindset. You're just fast tracking the process. So eventually it'll all come crumbling down. And that's why we need to build solid foundations by changing your mindset, by building better habits. This is exactly what we do inside the Lean and Fulfilled Lifestyle, and why our clients get incredible results and finally ditch the yo-yo cycle for years. So now you can see the negative impact of your identity and why we need to change it. So let's see it from a positive standpoint. So what happens if then, if that's our identity, the person that we believe ourselves to be, what happens if we start to change the narratives in our head? Okay, and I'm going to give you a couple of things that you can do here to kind of start to change the narratives. But why don't we just start to live life in question? Start to be more conscious of our thoughts and feelings. And there's a few little things that we can use. What happens if the narratives in our head are, yeah, I've been out of shape for years, I'm a serial yo-yo dieter, and, I am carrying more body fat than I'd like, but I know that's because, or I know that I can change that with implementing the right things, with committing to myself and goal. I know that it's not set in stone. We can start to fight back and challenge the narratives. And if we start to change the stories that we tell ourselves, yes, I'm overweight right now, but I don't have to be. I can lose weight. I can achieve anything. It's just a skill and application and consistency. If we start to change the narratives in our head, it starts to change our belief system, which means then if we believe in ourselves and we think, do you know what? I can do this. And, if I commit and I work hard and I have structure and I have a plan, I get accountability and I commit to making this a priority in my life, I can actually change. That's massive. That internal shift is huge, because that then changing your belief system, how does that influence your actions and behaviors? You start showing up more. You don't let perfect be the enemy of good. You focus on doing something over nothing. When life is stressful, instead of worrying about being perfect, you focus on how can I still put the consistent effort in. You're more adaptable, you're flexible, you're more positive, you're more constructive. Your ability to manage your emotions, your resilience, your courage, your discipline is all increased. What does that do? Well, your outcome is all that you've ever wanted, because you're actually able to stay, on the journey instead of throwing the towel in like most adults. That's what most adults do in the cycle, which is why their identity holds them back. But if we, change our identity by telling ourselves and challenging our narratives, changes our belief system, changes our behaviors and actions, boom, we get the dream outcome. So can you see now the power in changing your identity? If we're not going to change our identity, I'm telling you now, you're never going to be able to achieve and sustain your dream body. Okay? So a question that you're probably now asking me is, well, how do we change our identity? Because it's a big thing when for years you've been yo-yo dieting and it's been so limiting. How do we change that? Well, we have to change the narratives in your head. So the first thing that we can do, and one of the biggest things for me, is being able to live life in question, challenge our narratives, okay? Be more conscious of the thoughts and feelings so we can fight back. There's something that we use in the Lean and Fulfilled lifestyle called the daily debrief. Essentially, this is time to yourself every single day. And this could be done, by the way, in a form of journaling. So journaling is a great option as well. But the daily debrief, it's so much easier to implement. And essentially, it's when you have time to yourself, just living life in question, coming to peace with, all of the thoughts and feelings in your mind. So, when you're commuting to work and you're driving in your car and you've got some alone time, or when you're going for a walk in the morning, doing the daily debrief, checking in with yourself, asking yourself, okay, how am I feeling today? What's bothering me? What are the kind of thought patterns that I'm having? Say you're a week into your journey and it's like, I'm feeling good, but it's getting hard and the scale's not moving. On the daily debrief, where you've got 10 to 15 minutes to check in with yourself, and you can say it out loud. If you're in your car, there's no one around, you can internalize it, but just having them conversations, saying to yourself, okay, you're feeling like things aren't working, but what do you mean by that? Let's talk. Well, I've been on it with my diet and it's just the weight's not dropping off. Okay, well, we're talking about 2 days. Is it your menstrual cycle? Have you been for a meal out? All right, it was your birthday, so you had a piece of cake. Okay, mate. You can literally start having these conversations. You can go down a rabbit hole, but you're bringing so much more conscious awareness to your thoughts and feelings and actually challenging them. So when you are having a shit day and, you're saying to yourself, what's the point? Like, it's not working, not feeling good. You can say to yourself, well, okay, you're having a bit of a bad day, but don't worry, you've got this. It's just one day, like you've had a really good week. So let's not self-sabotage. Let's focus on the next thing we can do to regain control. And you come to peace with yourself. You air out any issues and you start to challenge the narratives in your head. So that's the daily debrief. I love doing it on a morning walk. When I'm driving in the car, I talk out loud to myself. I have done it where I'm walking in the woods as well, near where we used to live. And, it's early in the morning. There's me having a full-blown conversation to myself, just chatting away, doing the daily debrief. And then someone's literally there and I just didn't see them. I was in a world of my own because it was dark as well in the morning. And I was just like, okay. So, daily debrief is a great one. But then one of the biggest things for over 30s is your identity is the person that you believe yourself to be. Okay. So it's the evidence that you've created. The evidence that you've created is you've tried and failed for years. So I can't lose weight. I can't have the body that I've always wanted. I can't build this into my life because the evidence you have is failure, tried everything, nothing works. Okay, I fall off the bandwagon, I get frustrated, I'm just emotional all the time about it. That's the evidence that you've got. So how can we now start to not focus on that, but all we need to do is start creating new evidence to suggest that you can. This is where in the Lean and Fulfilled lifestyle, we've got our habit building system. because we help you to build new habits easily and quickly into your life to start to create new evidence to suggest that you can do this. So it's an incredibly powerful thing by starting to implement things, by having a plan of action. So you've got clarity, you've got an opportunity to show up every single day and not feel overwhelmed and have paralysis by overanalysis. You have clarity on, right, this is what I need to do. And when you take it one day at a time and you're ticking things off, okay, and you're doing things that align with who you want to become, you start to create new evidence. And this new evidence starts to change your belief system. It starts to challenge the narratives in your head that you go, I can actually do this. I believe that this is actually achievable. It all makes sense. Obviously, you need the habits to implement, you need the plan, the structure. But when we start to do that, we can create new evidence, to suggest that we are this person, we can be this person. And a great thing when you look at your kind of identity is to become the person, you first need to be the person. Okay, so to become the version of yourself that you want to be, fitter, healthier, leaner, 2 stone down, fitness part of your life, happy, healthy, comfortable in clothes, good relationship with food, positive, all of the things that you want physically, mentally, and emotionally. To become that person, we need to be the person. So a great thing that you can do is, grab a journal or grab a piece of paper, pause this video if you need, do it after, whatever, but just ask yourself, what behaviors align with the person that I want to become? So you might then be able to create a list of 3, 5, whatever things that then you can start to implement. Because to become, we need to be. So if we can start acting in line with who we want to be, then it's a one-way ticket to getting there. Okay, so if the version of ourselves that we want to be, that person would work out 3 times a week. They would get up early in the morning and go for a walk before work. They would, cook more food from home. All of the things, right? There's so many things that you could identify with the person that you want to be. So if we start to get a list together and we start being that person, so we start committing to getting up and going for a morning walk. We start to do a weekly food shop, so we've got loads of good food in the house. We start to follow an exercise plan 3 times a week. Okay, then we start to act in line with who we want to be. So to become, we need to be. So if we're being that person, it's a one-way ticket to becoming. And that is one way that we can massively create new evidence to suggest that you can do this, that you are doing this, and start to evolve your identity. And of course, it doesn't happen overnight. And this is why accountability, structure, and actually knowing what that looks like for you is absolutely essential. But this is why if we first learn how to evolve your mindset and start to change your identity as an absolute priority, alongside layering on top of that all of the things that will help, like exercise, nutrition, and kind of clarity with what you need to do with that, we can change your identity. So that's as far as I'm going to go in this training. I don't want to keep it too long, but hopefully you found that valuable. And this is just the start. That is episode 1. And in the next episode, which depending on when you're watching this, may be around the screen. At the moment, it might not be. But episode 2, we're going to talk all about self-sabotage. Okay, self-sabotage and self-belief. 2 things that are just so instrumental into your ability to get to where you want to be. So we're going to look at self-sabotage, how we can start to overcome that, and then look at how we can build more self-belief so that you can actually go on to achieve your goals. So stick around. That is going to be episode number 2. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Any questions, let me know. And over and out.